It's Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell.
Thanks for starting the beginning of your week with us here at Conduit News Radio. Folks, he's the author. You've heard him on the program before. He's the author of Pushback, Reclaiming Our American Judeo-Christian Ethos. His name is Rabbi Aryeh Spero. Rabbi Spero, how are you this morning, sir?
Oh, I'm just great and glad to be here.
Well, that's great. I'm glad to have you, as always. And, you know, a lot of times I don't really follow what happens when it comes to the geopolitical situations between the United States, between Israel. But I have this headline here, and I thought maybe you could help us address this. Headline from the Washington Times: Senate Democrats back BDS anti-Israel movement with filibuster of Mideast Partnership Bill. There's a lot of people out there listening to that headline. They don't even know what BDS is. So what can you tell us about this, Rabbi?
BDS is a movement that's very strongly pushed by certain Muslim or Arab sources against the state of Israel. The B means boycott. They go around to different businesses and they try to persuade them to boycott Israel. BDS, and D means to disinvest. That they try to persuade companies not to sell products to Israel, or they try to persuade investors not to invest in any company who might be doing business with Israel. They want to destroy Israel. They're not able to do it militarily, so they want to do it economically. Well, until now, it was understood that no sane person would support BDS, because why would anybody want to do that which would destroy the state of Israel economically? If you destroy a state economically, you've destroyed it. But so the Republicans, seeing that there are people that are trying to promote this BDS, Mitch McConnell brought a piece of legislation, proposed a piece of legislation to the Senate. And the Democrats refused to vote in behalf of protecting Israel from these BDS vultures. And it just shows you the Democrat Party is changing. It's becoming socialist. Socialists don't like Israel. Socialists don't like capitalism. And they don't like America either, as historically constituted. They don't like America. They're socialists. They don't like anything that's distinct. Socialism is, well, we're all the same. There's no America. There's no Israel. There's no Constitution. There's no Christianity per se, unless it's very liberal. And so this is what happens when you have a party that's becoming socialist and it's electing people that are socialists, or in this case, they've elected people that are out-and-out Muslim who have declared that they want the state of Israel to be destroyed. So it's a problem because the Democrat Party represents half of the country almost.
You're exactly right. It is a problem. As a matter of fact, in the first hour, we were talking about the government shutdown, and the conclusion that I've had is because we have a leader like Donald Trump who is actually sticking to what he ran on, and if more Republicans had done that, we would have had a government shutdown like this a long time ago. This is kind of the one we've avoided because it highlights, like you said, sir, you know, the Democrat Party represents half the country. We are a divided nation. We have, urban districts versus rural districts. We have completely different ideas about what's important in life, honestly. And I think that's highlighted even more when it comes to the idea of securing our borders because, to me, it's just a basic tenet of civilization. But then the other side says, no, it's a monument to racism and border security. Well, they say the wall is immoral, so they think border security is immoral too. But then, Rabbi Spero, you look at someplace like Israel, and Israel's proven that the wall works. They put walls up, and they protect their borders.
Oh, of course the wall works. And, I've been around, and I remember when the United States wanted to have a nuclear deterrent against the Soviet Union. And the same people on the left would say, the nuclear weapons won't help. It's a ploy. It's a strategy that they use, a verbal strategy. Anytime they don't want something to be passed or to be implemented, they say it won't work. It's just a verbal strategy. The wall will work, and besides, we're only talking about $5 billion. I mean, this Congress sends to other countries tens, hundreds of billions of dollars over the years so these other countries would be protected. $5 billion is a drop in the bucket. It might not work 100%, but nothing in life works 100%. It's certainly going to work 80%. If you can save 80% of the drugs from coming through, if you can save 80% of the American lives who potentially could be destroyed by a criminal, a rapist, a sexual trafficker, people that killed Kate Steinle, why wouldn't you do it? It's not the money. My goodness. They don't want it because they're not on the side of the American people. They want these illegals to come in because they know that they'll vote Democrat. And they'll vote Democrat even if they're not citizens because they have a way of cheating. You know, you give someone a car license, a driver's license, and then once they have that, they're going to be able to vote because the Democrats don't let you check ID for citizenship. They call that racist. Everything is racist. If you breathe the wrong way, it's racist. So these are all just this is language that they use to get their way and to make us feel guilty. If we don't do it, we're racist.
You know, and I think it's fundamentally dishonest as well. It's not accurate. You know, oftentimes in America we compete over the moral high ground here. I think what we're seeing more than ever is how the dishonest media is really working to the safety, you know, to our disadvantage as far as, you know, to, I think, the safety and security of the people. I mean, the moral high ground is clearly on the Republican side here if the facts were reported. If you report things like the drugs, the sex trafficking, the humanitarian crisis that it is, you know, by providing the incentive to, you know, where people are taking their kids across these terrible conditions with the hope of trying to get in here. You know, then you take into consideration the deaths of American citizens by illegal immigrants that are preventable if we have a secure border. You know, you contrast that with, well, we're in the middle of a government shutdown. Yes, absolutely. It's a shame that we have government workers who are not getting their paycheck, and that's uncertain. But why? Well, it's because, you know, there's a crisis down at the border. We have the President of the United States who stays in Washington ready to make a deal in the middle of a snowstorm, and we have the Democrat Party that takes off to a beach in Puerto Rico. I mean, if you just report those facts on the on what what has brought us to this point, it's very clear that the Republicans have the moral high ground.
No, there's no question. Protecting your people is the moral thing to do. The Democrats would leave us vulnerable, unprotected, and there's a history. This isn't theory. We know that Americans are being killed by many of these illegal aliens. We know that there are gang members, MS-13, coming in to our cities and killing our children. We know that there are Kate Steinle's being killed by illegal immigrants. Of course it's immoral not to have a wall. The Democrats are immoral. They're showing that they don't care about the American people. The people should get up in outrage against these Democrats. But you see, they're socialists. And when you're socialist, as I said in the beginning, you don't care about anything distinctive. So you don't care about American people. You're just caring about universal citizens. You care so much about the universal, because universal is not distinctive, that you ignore, you become callous towards people that are specific. So they're no longer concerned about American citizens. American, that's not part of the universal socialism. You know, we're not, they don't care about American citizenship. They're citizens of the world. Mm-hmm. This is the downside of socialism. As far as these workers, they'll be taken care of. But you know something? These federal workers, they knew about this. They have the most cushy gravy jobs in the country. You can never fire them. They get wonderful benefits, and they don't have to worry about recessions and layoffs. But they all know that there's always a possibility for a government shutdown. That's the deal that they made. In order to get these cushy jobs, better than anybody in the private sector, they understand that the possibility of a government shutdown exists, and then temporarily they won't get paid, but they'll get paid everything at a later date. Yeah. That's the deal they made.
Mm-hmm. No, you're exactly right, and I'm so glad that you said that because I haven't made that point yet. You are exactly right. I want to talk a little bit about, if you don't mind, while I have you on the phone, in the context of what we're facing in terms of you said socialism, and socialists, they tend to think of people as citizens of the world, and they're not for borders and that sort of thing.
They're not.
That's exactly what we're seeing across the pond as well with the Brexit situation. So you have the people of the United Kingdom. They come out and to say we want to leave the European Union, which is, certainly what is a socialist's dream, the whole concept of the European Union. And now we have the elites over there, Rabbi Spero. They're now saying that we might need that the people are going to need another referendum to make sure they really wanted to do this. They're saying that maybe we don't need to exit from the European Union. And it's just amazing to me that we see this rejection of globalism all over the world, and we have all of these countries, sir, developed nations that are all in the middle of some sort of immigration crisis, and I don't think that's a coincidence. What are your thoughts?
Well, of course, you see, you have a cadre of elitists who want to control the world. One of the things that they do is they erase the whole concept of national sovereignty and basically have open borders, so that once you have a jihadist coming through one part of Europe, and he can freely go through every single country, 20 countries in Europe, because there is no border control. The same thing were happening in our own southern border. There are jihadists, Islamic jihadists, terrorists coming through our borders together with the other people from the south, and they're going to cause another Boston massacre, another Fort Lauderdale, another San Bernardino. They're going to cause that. And so the elites here want a borderless America. They don't believe in sovereignty because it's all part of the universalist utopia that will be managed by the elite. The people are rising up against it, but you know there's great power to this deep state. Every country has the deep state, and there's a fraternity, a global fraternity among the elitists. They help each other, and they look down at all of us. Of course, we're not sophisticated because we still believe in Americanism, or we believe in sovereignty or borders. It's all, though, to take power from the people. Once you don't have sovereignty, and the people no longer control their destiny, it's controlled by unelected bureaucrats, unelected deep staters, elitists. When you have sovereignty, then it's the people who decide their destiny. So it's very dangerous. We have to fight it. If we don't win, we will eventually, slowly lose all of our freedoms, and we'll have no say-so in our future. It will be decided by deep staters, elitists, and globalists, and they've got plenty of money on their side, too.
Yeah, they really do. Well, Rabbi Aryeh Spero, it's always great to have you on the program. I appreciate you getting up early with us this morning. And again, your book, Pushback, Reclaiming Our American Judeo-Christian Ethos. Folks, be sure to check it out at Amazon. Rabbi Spero, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Okay, good. Talk to you later.
All righty, folks.